Yo, what is up, buddies? We are live here in Los Angeles with Kathy. Kathy's one of our first 100 members of Design Buddies. And she's been in our community since like April 2020 when we first started, but we're here to answer all of your juicy career questions. But before we get started, we want to learn from all of you about all of y'all tuning in today on like LinkedIn or YouTube. Where are you based and what are your career goals? How about you, Kathy? Where are you based and what are your career goals?
Yeah, thanks, guys. Hello, everyone. I'm Kathy. I am based in San Francisco. I'm in LA right now with Grace. And my career goals, I'm a designer looking to go into more startups and eventually be a founder potentially.
Oh, that's so exciting. We're here right now. I'm hosting like a little creator house in LA, and our little like Koreatown. So excited to have Kathy here. We also have a bunch of other designers here. We're using, yeah, so it'll be really fun. Yeah, for those of you tuning in, where are you based and what are your career goals? I know there is like a 30-second delay between what we see here and what we see out there, but hopefully you guys can feel free to drop your questions. I'm normally based in San Francisco, California. Grew up in Cupertino, Apple. But now I'm in LA. I'm planning to do like half SF, half LA. I am figuring out my career goals because I used to work as a UX designer. Um, and my first and only job out of college. I pivoted my career so many times. Currently like doing design buddies, so I do a bunch of like events, and I love building community, hosting events, creating content, posting on LinkedIn. It's been really fun. Um, and yeah, I also have a podcast of myself called How Creators Make Money. So I just love talking about like business, marketing, design. I love doing art too. So figuring out, I don't really know. I'm just vibing along the way. Let's see. I'm just gonna make sure we are also live on LinkedIn. Um, Let me go towards our LinkedIn, just making sure it is live and is loading. Making sure our LinkedIn buddies. Oh, cute. Okay. Okay. We are live on LinkedIn too. So I see October is from Waswell, New Mexico, student for UX design. Really looking forward to getting started. Exciting.
Nice.
Derek is based in LA. Oh, we're also hosting a Hop Bunny Beach Day in LA and Venice. It's on our Discord if you want to join us too. It's Easter, Easter
On
Sunday.
Sunday.
Yeah, we're gonna be hop bunnies. Harriet is based on Issaquah, Washington, currently in General Assembly's immersive UX bootcamp, hoping to get a job in the UX field when you graduate. Awesome. But yeah, let's get started. Kathy, what is your background and what is your like piece of unconventional advice you want to get started today?
Yeah, so my background, kind of how I got into design initially when I was in school, I did not know what I wanted to major in. So I ended up deciding to major in computer science. And it was through that, ironically, that I found out about UX. And so then I ended up getting my first paid internship with GSK, the pharmaceutical company. And then I worked at IBM, Dropbox, and now Snorkel AI. Unconventional advice, I would say one thing that I've done when I was like transitioning from going from IBM to Dropbox was I followed all of the hiring managers on LinkedIn. So I searched up like design managers who work at Dropbox, and I just followed all of them. So as soon as they posted a a job posting, I would be the first to know. So that's one thing that I did that was a little unconventional, but it worked because I got an interview like 4 days later.
Oh wow, amazing. So you just followed
Yeah.
all of them and saw a job posting and you reached out right away.
Mm-hmm.
So you would
Yeah.
follow and not connect with them.
Yeah, I think that's the great thing about that tactic. It's like following is just like a one-way thing. So you don't have to like wait and like hope that they connect with you back with following. Like you're always just like it's a one-way thing. So you don't have to like worry about waiting for them. And then yeah, and then you're like essentially like subscribed, right, to like all of their posts. And so as you browse your LinkedIn, which if you're like on the job hunt, you probably are anyways, as you're browsing your LinkedIn, like you're the first to know about all of the job postings.
Hmm.
Yeah.
And then like is that how you got all of your product design jobs so far?
That's how I got my Dropbox one actually. I initially, yeah, because I remember like I had like I had an Airtable, like a CRM of like, oh, like these are the top companies that I want to target, including Dropbox. And so I already knew like my target company. So that's why I was like, okay, like I'm gonna like every day I'm gonna look at like their career site and see if there's new postings. And then I'm also going to subscribe like through LinkedIn as well. So that was how I got my Dropbox job. But yeah, I only had a couple of target companies. So I think this works if you have like, I don't know, like 10 to 20 companies that you're very like specifically interested in.
Why do you pick a couple of specific companies instead of, I know a lot of people right now in the job market, they're probably just like, I love using the term spraying and praying. A lot of
I know.
like job applicants, like I feel like I see people in
Yeah.
design base like they focus on like the industry just
Yeah.
because the job market kind of, I heard it kind of sucks right now.
Yeah.
Um, so you were like always targeting specific companies from the beginning.
Yeah. I will say my situation is probably a little bit was probably a little bit different because this was back in I think 2021 and I think the job market was it was better back then.
Mm.
And so and also I was coming from a position where I was already employed by IBM. So I had a job already at the time and then I was actively like looking for new ones. So I think that might differ a little bit from the current. So yeah, I'd say like my advice is like I think quality still matters a lot. So for instance, like when it comes to cold emailing, like I think quality still matters because like if you just purely like that's why like cover letters are not a thing anymore because I feel like people just like did the same cover letter like over and over again to the point where it's like really generic. And so that's why I think it's not very enjoyable for hire managers to read them either because it's just like they know that people are like sending like a bunch of these or like mass applying. So I think it's like not enjoyable for either party if the cold email is really like generic and bland. I think cold email does work and it did work for me in terms of like getting interviews, but you need to be very specific and engaging. I think that's the like magic part of cold emails and how to like make them successful.
What's an example of a successful cold email you sent?
A cold email I sent, so the way that I structure them, like I start with, hey, I know you're busy. So let me get straight to the point. I think that like acknowledges like, hey, like I get that you have a busy day, right? And like I'm interrupting like your workflow. I think that shows that you have like a level of empathy for the hire manager or for the recruiter, especially in like this job market where they're probably getting like tons of applications. And then I go in, and I think this is the most important part. I go in with bullet points. So specifically three bullet points because the rule of three, like human brains are good at processing things in threes. And so no more, no less. And then I talk about three very specific things that I'm like proud of. And so like I say, oh, like at Dropbox, like I increased the revenue by this amount over the course of 6 months, right? And then at IBM, I won the Red Dot Design Award, which goes to only around like 1% of the entries. And then at IBM, I also developed like designed the first Watson feature that was approved for IBM Cloud. And so these are like very specific things, and that only I can say, right? And so that's another tip I would give is like you want it to be as specific as possible because I've seen people like with the bullet points like on their resumes too where it's like, oh, like I worked in a cross-functional team and I did user research and I shipped these features, but like a lot of people can say that, right? So you want it to be like as specific as possible. That's how you get engagement and that's what makes a good cold email. So that's the second part, and like I think I would argue the most important part. And then like the third part is the end where I say like, so for instance, like I think I was looking into Airtable. So I was like, oh, like I'm a big fan of Airtable. I've used it. I used it for like job searching, for everything from like job searching to like dress measurements for my friend's wedding. So that shows like this is not just like a like mass application kind of thing. Like I'm genuinely interested in this company. I think that's also really important to be able to like tie it together like that. So yeah, those three parts are how I structure cold email, and it's gotten me good responses. I've yeah through those cold emails I've gotten like interviews from them. So I'd say it's successful.
So you open up
Yeah.
with like, hey, I know you're busy, get straight to the point with specific 3 bullet points about your accomplishments, and then
Mhm.
third part is like pitching why you're interested, like specifically like, oh, I use Airtable for XYZ. Would love
Yeah.
to get involved. That's cool.
Yeah, exactly.
Hmm.
I think yeah, those 3 points, or yeah, that structure I think has helped me land a lot of interviews. So it's I definitely encourage people to try. I feel like the art of writing a cold email is very much like it is very much undervalued these days. I think people like complain like, oh, like cold emails don't work, but they do work. You just need to write them well.
Yeah, I also landed my first job at EA through cold emails too. But when you think of these, how do you get the email? Do you like reach out to people who post about the job out there?
Mm.
Or like how do you go about cold emailing specific people?
Yeah, like finding specific people.
Hmm.
Yeah, I try to like look for people who posted the job like on LinkedIn. That would be like the ideal. Or I'll just search up like design manager like at this company and just hope like oh like maybe they'll connect me with someone because like who you're talking to is not always the hiring manager, the decision maker. And so sometimes at the end of the email I'll be like, oh, like if you're not the right person, like can you send this over to the correct person? And so that way they can't just kind of like shut it down and be like, oh, I'm not the right person. Bye. So yeah, and then I also used to use Clearbit it's like a Chrome extension. I used to use that to look for emails specifically, but I think they got acquired by HubSpot, so I don't think you can actually use it anymore. I haven't sent out cold emails in a while, so I actually don't know. Yeah, I would say just use LinkedIn mainly.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Yeah, I agree. You can like even search people's like job titles, companies, locations, and even
Mm-hmm.
like you can search like hiring UX designers, and they can search like posts people made on LinkedIn
Yeah.
and on Twitter too. I've seen,
Yeah. Yeah.
and on Threads, I've seen that too. That's cool. Yeah. Um, I'm gonna go. I saw some questions on LinkedIn that didn't appear on StreamYard, so I just wanted to make sure it is in sync. But I've also did a lot of cold emailing in the past. I've like DM'd a bunch of like people in positions of hiring, like UX design. I searched like design manager, design director, senior
Yeah.
manager, VP of design, heads up, and I filtered by company, location, and sprayed and prayed and added all of them.
Yeah, oh yeah, I would say that's a good one, Grace. I would say another thing is I would go to another big thing I did when trying to get jobs, like both at IBM and Dropbox, was I would go to like conferences.
Mm.
Um, I would attend conferences, but another hack, kind of like tangentially related to cold emailing, is I would like before even going to the conference, like usually they'll list like the speakers like through the agenda or just like a list of speakers, and I would actually go through and like connect with everyone there. I'd send out like a quick message being like, hey, like I saw that you're speaking at this conference, right? Like, oh, hey, I saw you're speaking at Figma Config. Let's connect. Like it's just a very like simple message. But I'd say the trick here is usually people who are like speaking, they're usually like thought leaders. And like sometimes they go to speak because they're like hiring, right? But obviously they're not going to actively like announce it like on the speaker page. But it's always good. This is like a really easy in because that way, like once they're probably gonna accept the request because like oh, it's like somebody who's gonna like attend my talk. And then once they accept, then that's your in, right? Like now you're actually a connection. And you can say that you went to the same conference and like maybe like hopefully like you even got to meet in person. And then that way you can like ask for whatever you need, right? Like, oh, like can we like chat? I think my interest and skill set like align with this posting that I saw you post. So that's also been like a really good way for me to get connected to like thought leaders and to people in the industry who potentially are hiring managers.
I love that. Like
Yeah.
just having something in common for you to connect them with. And another thing I had is like posting on LinkedIn because like those people who are probably speakers are probably very well connected.
Yeah.
And if you post more on LinkedIn and they react to your posts, their network will see
Yeah.
more.
Yeah, exactly. I think that was another thing that I did. Just post on LinkedIn. Like going to conferences, posting on LinkedIn. Oh, and also like trying to be like going for as many speaker opportunities as possible. So yeah, like LinkedIn is a way to kind of like get yourself out in front of an audience. Like speaking is also another way to do that. I remember just applying to speak to like a bunch of places, even places where I like absolutely was not qualified for, but I was like, hey, I'm in a position where I just need to like get out of my comfort zone and I need to just like like whatever it takes, right, to like get in front of a potential hiring manager. So I did a lot of that. Like I think I remember I applied to speak at like an amplitude conference, even though I didn't really have an expertise in it. We just like used it at IBM. Yeah, so that's another tip I would say. Just like get yourself in front of like as many people as possible, whether that's through more like async channels like LinkedIn, or that's more through like in person like events or like speaking opportunities.
Yeah, I agree. And also putting yourself out there on LinkedIn, and everywhere
Mm-hmm.
too. I'm gonna go through some of the questions we have here.
Yeah.
Um, so October asks, do you have any good advice for networking for someone not being able to use LinkedIn? I guess like networking at conferences, networking on Twitter,
Yeah.
threads. I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, go to conferences then because there's like such a good way to like meet people and also like host like your own things if you can. I think I was like scared to initially because I was like, oh my gosh, like what if nobody comes to my event and like, it's like super lame? But like it's the whole like no risk, no reward, right?
Mhm.
So yeah, like you can even like host your own things. But yeah, just like push yourself to like get out there. Um, one one thing I would ask is, oh, like if you can't use LinkedIn, I guess like because link like free LinkedIn is very restrictive. Like you can barely send any messages on free LinkedIn now. But I will say one tip that I have used is I have talked to like I'm connected to like people who work at LinkedIn, and they usually have like some LinkedIn Premium, like yeah, LinkedIn Premium subscriptions that they can give out. So sometimes like I'll just like message people like, hey, like I'm looking for jobs specifically right now. Like I was just wondering if you had like a LinkedIn Premium you can give out, and people are usually like super generous.
Mhm.
So I've actually gotten like a bunch of LinkedIn Premium subscriptions through that.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
Also, I'm a premium member. I have 10 premiums I can give away a month, and these are 3 months each, and we do giveaways often. Speaking of conferences, Kathy's also speaking at our CoCreate Conference, which is happening on May 4th in San Francisco and online. It's free to attend online, so feel free to come by.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'll be excited.
Yeah, I'll be talking about like how to like specifically break into product design, like my whole journey all the way from like when I literally just was a confused college student, all the way to how I ended up getting offers like from IBM, Dropbox, and Snorkel.
Awesome. I was also a
Yeah.
confused college student 5 years ago. But I feel like everybody should be on LinkedIn. If you can't be on LinkedIn, try to figure out a way to be on LinkedIn. It's such a gold mine, especially for jobs these days. And
It
I
really
feel like
is.
this is like me saying this as like an internet kid, but like the more you put yourself out there, the more people will remember you. And a lot of people recruiting for jobs, spend a lot of time on LinkedIn. So if you're not on LinkedIn, I'm not sponsored by LinkedIn, but I love LinkedIn. Get on LinkedIn.
I know, me neither. But
Yeah.
we love it.
Mm-hmm. Awesome. Oh, I guess the name didn't show up, but what is your opinion on video applications? I guess people kind of
Yeah.
like share like a cover letter about themselves and spray and pray it.
Yeah. I guess I actually have never done one. But I will say I heard of this one um I heard of this one tip, and it was like if like for cold emailing with videos. So it's like if you are on like if you like have a video like you know like one of those like Loom videos where you're like sharing a screen, and then if you're like on somebody's LinkedIn profile and then you like that's like the thumbnail and you send that in the cold email, I heard that's like that actually has a really high click-through rate because people see their own LinkedIn profile and then they're like, oh, like it's like personalized, but then you can also have your face in it, right? So you can like have an intro that way. I heard that's like I've never actually personally used it, but if I ever wanted to like spray and pray or like mass apply, it has like that personalized touch to it, right? So you are gonna have to like do it for every single person. But I think the like high click-through rate could be worth it.
Oh, so
Yeah.
like you have Loom, and then I think it's like free if you have video under 5 minutes. And you'd be like, "Yo, what's up, Bob? I see you're a hiring manager hiring for
Yeah.
this role at Facebook or whatever. I blah blah blah," and I send it to them.
Yeah,
Like kind of like what you would
exactly.
say in a cold email, but say it in a message.
Yeah, you could be like, hey, like I saw on LinkedIn that like you're like a design director at this company, and then kind of use that to transition it to yourself. Like, hey, like I think I also saw on LinkedIn that like you posted about this specific thing, and I think my like interests and skill set are like super aligned to it. So I would love to chat. So something along those lines, like not super long, but yeah, like you have the hook, right? Like it's like oh, it's like the first the video, and then second, it's like on their LinkedIn. So
Mm.
I think that could really help you stand out. I haven't seen a lot of people do it. I myself have like never actually done it, but I would try it if I was like were to like be applying again.
Oh yeah, same. I would click if someone sent that to me, I would click on it too.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, there's so many questions here. There's a lot of questions. I feel like a lot of people are trying to get the first internships, and what kind of advice did you give people trying to get the first internship? Like, what kind of projects to include?
Yeah.
How many projects? How to structure their
Mm-hmm.
portfolio?
Yeah, I think one thing that really helped me when I was trying to get like my first job or first like internship, I was on a project team at school, and so that's where I built my first app. It was this app basically it measured how like how crowded different spaces were. So like you wouldn't have during finals week you wouldn't have to go to the library like circle around like all 7 floors only to find like there's no space. So that was like a pretty engaging case study. And like yeah, and I mean I applied to the project team and everything, but I think that all like really helped me like land positions because that was something I could talk about. So I will definitely like have like at least one solid case study, and so the way that you can do that, like if you don't have access to project teams in school, or like you're just not able to do one, I would say like reach out to like nonprofits or to just like your local like businesses, like small businesses. They're always in need of like a designer. Like if you've ever seen like websites where it's like not the best, I think that's like a great like way. I think yeah, I think a lot of people don't even like consider that, and they jump immediately to like I guess like hypotheticals, which can be good, but I think it's stronger if you've like actually worked like with a small business or like a nonprofit, and you can see like the end to end flow. So that's one thing. And then the other thing, I think visuals do matter. I know as much as they say like, oh, like it's like a product design, like internship or like a job, you like it needs to be like good UX. I still think like visuals, because like humans are visual animals, right? And then this is also like in the world of design. So I think like visual design does matter for a portfolio. So you also just like want to make sure that that is like up to par, because that is like your first impression.
Yeah, and I agree. And these hiring managers are probably spending like 30 seconds first time looking at a portfolio, decided whether to throw it in trash or to look for in it, or look further in it too.
Yeah. Yeah. So if it's not like
Mhm.
something that you would be excited to show somebody like on the spot, like if you're just like talking, and like if it's not a project that you would be excited to be like, oh my gosh, yeah, like I actually worked on this and like go through. I think that maybe that's like a short test you could do. Like, oh, if I were talking to someone, would I be excited to show them this project on the spot? If it's no, then probably the hiring manager who's looking at it like async is also like not going to be super interested or engaged.
Mhm.
Yeah.
And I think sometimes like a lot of people ask like, oh, should I like code my own portfolio from scratch? But there's so many like free templates available on sites like Framer, Webflow. If you want something easier, Squarespace, Wix Studio, they can just like plug and play to your case studies on there too. So learn how to design it from scratch.
Yeah.
They could if you want,
for
but
sure.
sometimes we just want to spend time getting the job and getting experience. So yeah, those are that resource too.
Yeah, like Notion. I saw there was like a lot of portfolios in Notion at one point. Yeah, so if you don't have any like if you're not technical, but also just like all these AI tools like V0, Lovable, I would just like yeah, I would just like try those out because it's so easy to set something up these days.
Yeah, even by vibe code your own portfolio, who knows? And I
Yeah.
feel like these days, if I were to like restart my design career over again, I would learn vibe coding and learn how to like all these like AI tools to help me be more build products as a designer, and showcase that on my portfolio too. So I feel like a lot of companies are not hiring; they're hiring like people who can use AI and trying to replace employees with more AI. So just try to be someone that can use all the AI, so you can like take over like 5 different designer jobs. Oh, that's over such an I see.
Yeah, just be like AI forward in general.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So there's a lot of questions. I'm trying to go through. We have time. So Andrew asks, what's the best way to approach networking in virtual spaces? I think you answered a bit. It's like kind of reaching out to people on like LinkedIn, whether you search them or see like a post or attending events. Yeah. What else would you add here?
Another thing that I did was when I was looking for jobs, I would use LinkedIn filters. I feel like LinkedIn filters are actually really underrated. I don't see people use them too much. So I would specifically filter for people who, let's say I'm at IBM and like I want to work at Dropbox, right? I would filter for people who past company is IBM, and then current company is Dropbox, and then like they went to the same school as me. So filter for people who went to Cornell, and that was actually really good because now you have an in, right? Like imagine like meeting somebody at like in person at a conference, and you're like, oh shit, like you worked at IBM, like you worked at the same company that I'm currently at, and we went to the same school. Like that's already like 2 points of connection. And you'd probably both be really excited to like be talking to each other, right? So it's just like how do you simulate that like feeling of like excitement, but like on LinkedIn. So that's like one way to do it. So use the filters.
Oh, I did that when I was color applying too. I went to Santa Clara, so I was just like, go Broncos or whatever.
Yeah.
Yeah, LinkedIn. And also like plugging our conference. It's a free conference on May 4th. We'll have channels where people can like network in our Discord too. So it's in person in SF, but also online. So yeah, feel free to attend. There's also a bunch of like design-a-thons and design events online they can attend
Yeah.
as well. It was like really big during COVID, but I feel like there's still a lot of communities going strong with these online events too, like LinkedIn Lives and connecting with each other. You see in the comment section right now, it's like, oh, I see you attending this live with Kathy. I'd love to connect and support each other on a career journey. So like go ahead and like add everybody you see on the lovely linked of ins. Yeah, I think we answered that. Tony said, I think Tony went to our event. Maybe it's a different Tony or the same Tony. I work at a all remote company. We heavily prefer applicants who submit looms alongside their resume. So looms, guys, looms, we
Yeah.
love you. Sponsor us. I like
We love sponsorships.
really love that too. I've been cold messaging a lot of people lately. So yeah. So Tom asks, oh, design tests, like design challenges. What are your thoughts on
Mm.
design tests? I've been seeing these for design roles quite often.
Yeah, like take homes.
Hmm.
Um, yeah, this is a hot topic. I am not a fan of them. Because like just okay, just totally from a personal perspective, I'm not a fan because I'm a perfectionist. So if you give me a design like take home test and you tell me to only spend 2 hours on it, like you can bet that I'm not gonna spend 2 hours on it. Like I'm probably gonna spend as much time as I need to like make it really, really good. So it's just like a huge time suck. So I like personally, for my own sake, prefer like live sessions, like whiteboard challenges. So like actually when I was interviewing, I did have hiring managers or people who were interviewing me ask like for like take home, and I did push back and I was like, hey, like I know like what you're trying to like test for, like this what you're trying to test for and what you can get out of it can be accomplished through like a live like whiteboard challenge. Can we try that? And most of the times like people were pretty open to it,
Mm,
to like changing the structure. So yeah, I that's my personal take on
I agree.
it. Yeah.
I had one take home challenge and it was a horror story. Like I remember it was a big company I really want to work for. I was like a senior in college. I was like at this conference in San Diego for like the week. And so I
Mm-hmm.
only had like 1 or 2 days to really focus and work on it.
Mm.
And I pulled an all-nighter and I was
Oh
like
my
really sad. And
god.
I didn't even get a reply. I was like so annoyed.
Oh my god, the worst. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, yeah. But yeah, I love how you mentioned you can just like ask them like, "Hey, can I just spend an hour, sit down with you and do it live instead of like doing that?" You can also like ask, you can just ask. Like I
Yeah.
love that. I never thought about that. I would never do that as a junior designer, but you can just ask because like
Yeah.
I was the same thing. I remember I pulled an all-nighter and it was like terrible to
Yeah.
finish it because I really, really wanted the job, but the timing just was like really bad.
Yeah. Or you can just, I mean, yeah, or you can just say no. I think there's this like one, like I think for smaller companies, a lot of times I go in with a like mindset that, oh, they probably just like don't know any better. Like maybe
Mm.
they've never like hired a designer before. So maybe this is like they're just like learning like an outdated way to do like design interviews. So I just go in with like that mindset. I'm like, hey, like actually like this is a better way to do it just as a designer who's been in the industry. So that's one thing you could do. But like for larger companies, if they're like, oh, like yeah, you have to do a take home because like that's what we have all our candidates do. A lot of times I'm just like, yeah, no,
Mm.
I'm just going to step out of the process at this
Hmm.
point. Yeah.
Yeah, like a lot of times, like I feel like I've seen a lot of companies like just use that as to get free work.
Mm,
That's kind of sad. Don't do that.
yeah,
Don't do that. Ask for a
I
live
do.
challenge. Or like I've seen a lot of companies do like paid take home ones, so you get paid like $50 or something. But still, like I feel like I don't know. When I look at myself as like a junior designer, I'm like I want to get the job. I'm so desperate, especially in this market. I would like
Yeah.
waste so much time on it too.
Yeah, for
Hmm.
sure. Paid. I mean, paid is at least better.
Hmm.
Although I've also heard of like work trials where
Mm.
like you like actually work with others. I think that's an interesting approach. I've never actually done those as like part of my interview process, but that is more in line with like because like you can't like spend like hours overtime like doing the work trial. So and it's paid, right? So that would be like my preference
Mm.
over any like take home challenges.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I do work trials at Design Buddies. Yeah. Um, so Judy asks, how do you stand out on interviews and portfolio walkthroughs when you're up against hundreds of other designers?
Oh, that's
Ooh.
a good one. Yeah, because yeah, I mean, imagine like the application, like even like on LinkedIn when you're applying, like you can see how many applicants there are. So I totally get that. Um, I think one thing, like I had my portfolio walkthrough like nailed down. And the reason behind that is because I took like an iterative approach to it. So like I presented it to I must have done at least like 40 like user testing sessions for my portfolio. Like I literally just reached out to people like on LinkedIn or like different mentorship platforms. And I just asked like, hey, can you like, do you have 45 minutes to like go through my portfolio with me? And people were like really great. Like they gave me really, really good feedback. And I remember I used Box to just like collect all of my notes as they were telling me. And I just treated it like I would treat it like a product. Like I documented like everything they said, and then I synthesized the findings, and then I put like my top like to-dos based off of those findings at the very top of my document, and I would just like iterate. So like maybe 5 people would be like one round, and then I would have like a new version of my portfolio, and then I would like user test it again. So it got like to a point where I was like, okay, if I get the interview, like the first round interview, like portfolio walkthrough, like I know I'll get to the next round because I was so confident in my ability to present because I had done it like 40 times.
Mm,
Yeah.
that's awesome. And you can also like, I guess, kind of reach out to people on LinkedIn to like review it. Maybe if the vibes are right, they could be like a longtime mentor. That's what I did to people. I just
Yeah.
like, hi, I need help.
Yeah, yeah. That's also how I got like a lot of my mentors and that I stay in touch with nowadays. Yeah, initially it was just like purely like, hey, I need someone to look at my portfolio, but it like people like were really great. Like they would see like the first version, and then they would see like the end, and they'd be like, oh my gosh, like this is such an improvement. And then it also foster like that like longer term like mentor mentee relationship.
That's awesome. Yeah, I remember I sprayed and prayed a lot and reached out to a bunch of people like 5 years ago, and a lot of them stayed friends to this day. Like we still like hang out, and sometimes like a lot of them like end up speaking for Design Buddies or ended up wanting a referral to EA. So I like was able to like help them out too. So I feel like relationship building is like a long-term game. Like I feel like when I go about meeting people, I just like focus on like learning about each other and like finding ways to like help each other out. It doesn't have to be now, it could be
Yeah.
later too. So like coming in with like no expectations.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah. Ooh, so many questions. Kamal asks, is it possible to validate design without tests? I'm assuming this is like, I know design challenges suck and I really hate doing them. Do you think there's a way to get out of them? Or maybe.
Yeah. Oh, like doing design like even whiteboarding challenges.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't think so.
Yeah. Mhm.
I also did not like them though initially because I would just like freeze and like panic, and I'd be like, oh my gosh, like because you're supposed to like voice your thoughts out loud, but I would be so bad at just like that process initially. But I think honestly, like, unfortunately, the advice I would give is it just takes practice. Like, you just have to do it a million times. Like, I remember I had friends who were designers, and we would just like do it for each other. So we would have like prompts that we generated through, I think it was like Designer Size, and then we would just like give each other feedback. And then eventually, like if I didn't have friends to like bounce like prompts or like challenges off of, I would just do it myself. And just like do it over and over again. Like eventually you get the hang of it. So that I eventually became very confident in my ability to actually to do like a whiteboard challenge.
Yeah, I just practice. Like if it makes you uncomfortable, it means you're growing. And I used to hate them too. But I feel like it's kind of fun. It's like you're solving a problem and you're like improving your critical thinking skills. Finding like ways to enjoy it and like treat it as like a opportunity you can use to grow and get feedback. Every time you interview, you can always ask them if you got the job or didn't get the job, like ask them for feedback to help you grow as a designer too.
Yeah.
Oh, there's like I feel like there's so many questions. Dan, hello, Dan. Oh, Dan is an OG of Design Buddies. I think he's been in our community since like 2020. It's like the most underrated way to get ahead in the industry.
Yeah, I mean, I'd say posting on LinkedIn, honestly. Because I feel like before like all these platforms, like the only way to really like get your voice heard was like speaking at like large scale events. But like LinkedIn is like a free platform where you can like talk and like shout all you want about like the things that matter to you. And I feel like a lot of people don't do it because they're like, oh my gosh, like I don't want to be cringe, or they're just like scared of like putting themselves out there, which is like totally valid. Like I felt that too. um but that's also the reason that like it, because it stops a lot of people from doing it, like the people who do it like get much further ahead. So that would be one of the most underrated ways to get ahead, I feel like.
I love posting on LinkedIn because when I split and prayed and I cold reached out, I posted about my journey to design, like what kind of events I was attending, what I was working on my LinkedIn. So when people looked at my profile, they could see I'm like, ooh, a very ambitious junior designer who is very hungry to learn and adapt to new challenging environments. And if you guys want to make your first post on LinkedIn or post on LinkedIn today, summarize what you heard on this talk and tag Kathy, tag me, tag Design Buddies. Design Buddies will repost it. So post on LinkedIn. If you don't know anything, if you don't know what to start with, you can summarize like your learnings and what you learned here today, and I would love to see it on your LinkedIn to show that you are a person who spends their free time, furthering their career, which is like a green flag to hiring managers, especially if people are more junior. Showing that like ability to learn and showcase your learnings and communicate is very key.
Yeah. Oh yeah, that's a good one. Like, yeah, I feel like people are like hesitate because they're like, oh my gosh, like what do I have to share? But like a good way to start, like Grace said, is just going to like events and then they just share your findings. So it's less like centered on you and it's more like, hey, like I did this cool thing and I'm just like sharing it out with people. Or like I used to like when I did like hackathons, I would share like what I learned from them, or if I went to like talks of like designers that I respected, I would just share it out. And to me, it's like it's not like, oh, like these are my original thoughts, right? To me, it was more like, oh, like almost like an Instagram story. Like I went to this cool thing. I'm just like sharing it out with people. I think that's like a very like low barrier way to like just start posting on LinkedIn.
Post about us today. We love to see
Yeah.
it. Yeah. So this is a question about career, like pivoting from different industries to design, because I know a lot of people probably didn't study design in school or worked in a different industry for a couple of years. How would you go about switching different industries? Like whether it's like getting skills, like working with people or like technical skills, like how would you go about? Because I know you study like Chinese studies, right? How would you go
Mm-hmm.
about thinking about how to use the skills that you learned from something else to go into design?
Yeah, I actually, people are surprised to hear this usually, but my major in college was actually China and Asia Pacific Studies. So like totally unrelated. And then eventually I was like in the middle of that, I was like, oh, like I wanted to pivot to computer science, and then I found out about UX through that. I think the most important thing is, and a lot of people have said this before, I've heard, is like transferable skills. So for instance, like if you're going from like marketing to design, like there's a lot of like skills that are related. It's just about how the way that you pitch it. Like I have a friend who was going from being a lawyer to becoming a designer, and it seems at first it seems like they're not like related at all. But if you can like paint like a picture or like frame it in such a way where like you show that, oh, these are the skills that are directly transferable to UX design, I think that goes such a long way. But you have to make that story very apparent in your portfolio, because I've seen people who are career switchers like shy away from even mentioning their past jobs, which I feel like is such a big mistake. Like it's super cool. Like the cool thing about design is like people come from all different like backgrounds and different industries. It's not always like a linear path, and it's actually really interesting to hear about their stories, first of all. And then second of all, it's like if you can tell a compelling story painting like your initial industry to like the like UX design, it makes you stand out as a candidate. Like it shows that you know how to tell a story, and that you have like specific transferable skills, and that already puts you ahead of like a lot of other candidates.
Yeah, I agree. Fun fact, my major was bioengineering and then CS and figuring it out. Oh wait, I think this question's asking, so I just read it again. do you have any advice for switching industries from design? So like whether you're like trying to go from like
Oh,
designing for government to designing for like tech or like gaming industry.
mm, yeah. So my personal experience with this, like I worked at IBM, which is like more cloud, like enterprise, like cloud. And I think I wanted to get more into like productivity tools. So my story for how I got into it was I was working on like an integration on IBM Cloud, and this specific role at Dropbox was actually looking for a designer in integrations. And so it actually mapped really well. And so that was like the bridge for me to go to switch from like cloud to like more like consumer focus, like more productivity tool. Um, yeah, but I don't know, that was like kind of lucky for me, I feel like, because like looking back I'm like, oh, like I couldn't have planned that better, you
Mm.
know. um so yeah, I don't know if have any like specific advice for that. Yeah, I think mine was just mostly luck.
Hmm.
Yeah.
I guess for mine, like gaming industry, when I was interviewing at EA, they asked me about like questions about what I think about the future of gaming and like what kind of trends I'm excited about. So just like kind of being knowledgeable in that space and having like some projects to show for it. For example, I did like game jams. We
Mm.
can do like hackathons to have like a project to not only like talk about your interest but also demonstrate your interest too in that industry. Yeah. James asked, any thoughts on new early careers adopting AI and how would you, that's your buzzword, AI, this AI, that, but it's so relevant because I feel like a lot of people, a lot of companies are like downsizing because they're like replacing people with AI. But like, as a designer who wants to break into the industry, how would you like leverage AI tools in your approach to like growing your career?
Yeah, I mean, definitely do it. I like use ChatGPT for so many things. And I would say like one of the biggest things where I see AI like transforming design workflows is like prototyping. So I've used like V0 from Vercel for prototyping. Like, oh, if I like have an idea, or like if my product manager has an idea, I can like I can get it like into code basically in like in a span of 10 minutes. And then like I'll show it to like leadership, or I've literally shown it to leadership like 10 minutes later. I was like, oh my gosh, I had this prototype. I was like slacking my PM, and I was like, okay guys, like let's just get it into the presentation. And we actually showed it to leadership like 10 minutes later to communicate our vision. So doing that, or like showing it to customers, like if they have a very specific ask that normally you would just like talk about, I can get it like into a prototype like in a like really quick time span, and just like show it to them, and like I see their eyes light up. They're like, oh my gosh, like this is exactly what I was talking about. So those are like really quick and easy ways to like get AI into your workflow.
So use tools like V0, Lovable,
Mm-hmm.
Built.new to like prototype, like vibe prototype something.
Yeah, exactly. I think eventually, like, it'll get even more robust and like actually have our design system in there. Which then it's like it's our actual product, which would be so cool. I think we're on the way there. We're not quite there yet. But yeah, for now it's just meant to be like to show like the concept. And even that's like enough, right? It doesn't have to be like a high fidelity thing. Like it's just meant to like show the concept and like validate really quickly.
And yeah, I love it. I'm so excited for these vibe coding tools. 'Cause I don't like to code. I study CS, but like I can't code. It's okay if you can't code. Yeah, so there's a lot of more questions. I'm trying to get through as much as we can, less like 12 minutes here. So Jenny asks, how do you stand out during resume screenings to help you get interviews? Any advice how to land interviews? I guess like how do you, I know you mentioned like the Loom video,
Mm-hmm.
cold emailing,
Yeah.
or like when people see your resume, like let's just say you're like cold applying and dumping your resume. Like how do you like stand out in that process?
Yeah, so two things. The first is your resume, every single bullet should be specific to you. It should it should be something like, it should never just be like, oh, I did user research and we shipped out like these features. Like a lot of designers can say that, right? A lot of designers can just like do user research and like ship out features. Like it has to be like specific to, ideally specific to you and not even anybody else on your team. Like only you could have had that kind of impact, and like use numbers like as much as possible. It should be the way to like, I guess, stress test this is like, if you wouldn't be excited to say it to like a hiring manager standing in front of you, and if you can't imagine saying it and their like eyes like lighting up, then like it's not, you shouldn't like have it on your resume. Like every single point should have that effect on someone. And then my second thing is like resume. Just the resume, I feel like, is not enough. Like you need to reach out to hiring managers and to recruiters. Just purely depending on the resume to like get you through, I feel like is not something that you can necessarily like rely on, because it essentially becomes like a black box. It's like you don't know like what ends up happening to the resume. So I would always like reach out to a hiring manager or to a recruiter or to somebody who works at the company who can connect me, even after I've applied.
Yeah, I agree. Because like, I feel like so many people apply and then they get dumped in a pile.
Yeah.
But to stand out, you can reach out. Casey asked, thanks for the Loom tip. Usually, what kind of information is included in the video alongside the resume? 30-second elevator talk, you embed a link to the resume. So I'll just say you're like going through someone's LinkedIn, wanting to send them a customized Loom video. You have that video you recorded, but when you send them a message, would you like attach your resume? What kind of things would you include in that message?
Yeah, in that email, I would probably include like everything that's necessary in like for someone to either refer you or for somebody to properly assess you. So I would include like the resume, I would include portfolio, and then the video. And then as for like what's actually in the video, oh, is this asking what is included in the video alongside the resume? 30 second. Okay, yeah, what's included in the video, yeah, I would make it short, because like people, like you can get them hooked with like the LinkedIn profile thing, but then you don't want them to like be like, oh my gosh, it's a 5-minute video, like I have to sit through. So I would say, yeah, like a 30-second, like whatever would be your pitch when you're first like, imagine like going up to someone at like a booth at a conference, like whatever would be your pitch there and would get them like excited. All the video really needs to accomplish is like, you want to get them interested in talking to you. The purpose is not to like tell your whole life story. So yeah, that would be my advice.
Awesome. Yeah, it's like a little teaser, a little hook. So see if they want to dive deeper in it.
Yeah.
Get their attention.
Yeah.
So I just went through a course, and the treating your portfolio resume case studies walkthrough as a product you're designing is a huge thing and improve your chance to stand out. Yeah, I agree. It's like a design project in itself to like optimize the flow of your portfolio so they can navigate through that. Any advice for 17-year-old UI UX designer practicing right now? I guess kind of this question is like, how do I improve my skills as a designer? Like through design challenges. You mentioned like designer size, learning like design principles, and how would you go about learning it from scratch and improving your skills?
Yeah, I would say like really getting into the AI tools right now. I feel like the design landscape is going to change so much, like even as we speak. So getting into the AI tools, but I think, and then so that's first, and then another thing is like get used to like talking to like people and to like validate your designs. I think, yeah, even if you're not like, don't formally like work at a company, like you always have access to people, right? So like just train that user centricity in yourself. I think that's what a lot of people really value in designers. I've also heard like, oh, like designers are great as founders because they're really good at like talking to people and like they're like trained to like validate their ideas. So that's definitely like a skill set I think you can develop early on.
Talking to people, training. Good that you're starting out so young as well.
Yeah.
Dan says bigger great LinkedIn posting. Folks love artists, art and art. It's almost like a cheat code. Yeah, post your designs out there on LinkedIn. People love to see that. Your LinkedIn, I feel like sometimes it's like people follow this like fluffy, like vague inspirational content. If you
Yeah.
post your work, that'd be great. Um, Speaking of LinkedIn, Jenny says, asked, like, love the LinkedIn posting ideas. Any suggestions of what we can post as an entry-level designer? I know Kathy has been posting a lot on LinkedIn lately. Connect with Kathy on LinkedIn, but what would you post if you're starting
Yeah.
out in design?
I mean, I initially, if you see my like very early posts, it's literally just like every time I got a new job, I would post. So that I didn't post a lot, honestly, at the beginning. It was maybe like 3 times a year. But like start with that, right? I feel like that's what a lot of people expect on LinkedIn and are like comfortable posting, like promotions or like yeah. Or like another thing you can post about is like if you're going to a conference or you're going to an event, that's another like easy low barrier thing to post about. Like, oh hey, like I remember I posted like I did a post on like, oh, I'm going to Grace Hopper conference, and it got like 600 likes because a lot of people were like really, I guess, really excited about GHC. So yeah, like those are easy ways. And then also what I talked about earlier, like posting about like, if you like go to an event, post about it, like post about your learnings, because like I can guarantee like almost like nobody else in your like LinkedIn connections went to that event. So you're like already bringing value by like telling them like something you learned, right? Like it's the equivalent of like telling a friend like, oh, like I went to this event and this is what I learned. So you're like automatically bringing value. Yeah, but on top of that, like I also have like a list of ideas. So every time I'm like talking to somebody, I'm like, oh, like this would be a cool topic, or like something that's just like really fun to talk about. I'm like, oh my gosh, let me add this to my list. So that's another like tip. Like if you don't know what to post, like think about like what is engaging when you talk to like other people. That could be like a good test for like what would be engaging on LinkedIn as well.
It's like having a running list of topics.
Yeah.
I like to scroll through LinkedIn and see what other people are posting, get some inspiration
Mm,
from too.
yeah.
Yeah. One more questions. Rachel said, I used to train AI as a side hustle. Would this be a good thing to include? Wait, training AI, that's interesting.
Yeah. That um I think that could be a good thing if you
Yeah.
can like I mean if your goal is to like be a designer, I think as long as you can like connect it like specifically to design or if like you're trying to go into a company that is into like AI training, I think that could be really really useful, like a
Mm-hmm.
useful skill for
Mm-hmm.
them. Yeah.
I agree. And then we're our last 3 minutes here. If any more questions, feel free to dump them in the chat. I feel like some of the LinkedIn ones didn't sync properly, but I'm gonna see if we missed any that we haven't covered yet. Oh, there's a question that was submitted that I'm sure a lot of people are curious about is um how important is finding a niche? Because I feel like you mentioned how you wanted to
Yeah.
target specific companies, but when you think about how you want to evolve your career, is it like you want to focus on, oh, wait, sorry, a niche, like a topic, like a niche, like becoming like a the more like engineer focus or design systems focus? Like when you start to like, I feel like as a beginner, it's like good to like do everything and then figure out what you like. But how do you think about
Mm.
what you want to specialize in?
Yeah, I have two answers to this. So the first, like when you're a beginner, like when you're just starting out in design. So more specifically, like when I was in college, and I was like applying to jobs at that point. I don't think it was necessary for me to like specialize. I think it was because honestly, even if I had wanted to specialize, most roles that for like entry level, like 0 to 2 years, are just like generalist, like product design roles. So even if you wanted to, unfortunately, I don't think you really have the option to. But I will say, like my second answer was like it is still good to not necessarily like have a like niche role, but like if there's certain things that you're interested in like design. So for instance, like I was very interested in like being data driven. I was interested in AI, And I was interested in like onboarding flows. So I actually have all of that in my portfolio. And I think a lot of people are scared to actually like specialize or like differentiate their portfolio that way. But I think it actually makes you stand out, even if you're like trying to get hired for generalist product design roles, because it shows that you have like specific interests. So to summarize, like you don't necessarily need to specialize in terms of like roles, but it is good to specialize in terms or like showcase like your specific interests on your portfolio.
Yeah, I agree. Yeah, because I feel like as you become more experienced, there's like either you can do like IC, become a really cracked staff
Mm-hmm.
product designer, principal product designer, or if you like dealing with politics and managing people, become a design manager. And
Yeah.
come up, it's like very different world there. So
Mm-hmm.
just start thinking about that where you want to go. Or if you're like me and figuring it out, just doing a bunch of random things too. But I still like I know like I feel like sometimes I'm like really into like quitting my job on LinkedIn, but honestly like working as a designer for like 4 years has helped me get to where I am today, and I wouldn't trade it for anything else. I know we're at time, but thank you all so much for coming up. Kathy, is there any other advice you want to share with our buddies today?
Um, I think just like being a designer, I also love being a designer. I feel so lucky to work in like a field where I get to be like left brain and right brain. So yeah, I think like there's definitely space for all. But like I think my biggest thing is like get into AI, like the AI prototyping tools. Yeah.
AI. Yeah, I agree. Like try tools like Bolt.me, Lovable, V0, and see which one vibes.
Yeah.
All right. Thank you so much, everyone. Hope you all vibe and thrive in W's in the chat. All right. Thank you so much. I'll send
Thank
out the recording. Thank you
you.
all. W. Awesome.